What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are about to get these flower beds back in order so that the property owner can replant it and redecorate it the way they want it to. All I'm doing is the surface level work. They'll take care of the rest of the in-depth work. So enjoy this video and welcome to the channel. As I always say, if you're new, or welcome back if you've been hanging around for a while. I greatly appreciate you sticking around. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this video get started. Again, this is Simon from Grant's Curb Appeal Lawn Care, and I'm gonna dive back in this video here in just a few. So sit tight, let's get into it. I know this is a lawn care channel, and I can tell you about my route, or I can tell you about the type of blades I'm using or the weed string I'm using, but I like to change it up a little bit and give you all just a space of what's going on, in my opinion, in today's society. And my question for this video is, how is your mental lately? How has if you turn on the TV or start scrolling on your phone, how is everything that is going on right now in the world affecting you? I have some friends that I talk to, and some of them pay absolutely no attention at all to what's going on. They get up, they don't look at the news. If they see anything, it might be just because they've been scrolling on their phone or a computer or a tablet. But far as just really being deep in the weeds of what's going on with the cost of living, politics, etc., they block it out. A lot of people's main response as to why they block it out is because they simply can't do anything about it. It's out of their control. They can't go there and single-handedly say this isn't going to happen or this is going to happen, etc. But as you notice, just depending on if you're one of those people that do scroll or try to keep up with the news or whatever, you start noticing a lot of, there are positive stories out there, but a lot of what you see out here on the media is affecting a lot of people's mental, because a lot of it is not really good news stories. And I'm not going to dive into my political feelings. That's just not what I'm going to speak on this channel. But politically, I think has been the most devastating side of the news lately for a lot of people. Whatever side you're on, hey, great, that's whoop-de-doo for whatever side you're on. But how is it personally affecting you and your family and your mental? How do you go about just adapting and adjusting to everything that has been just affecting us all, no matter whether if you're rich, poor, what race you are? Everything that's going on is affecting us to a degree. And I've even seen stories and heard, because I listen to the radio shows, every morning. And I've even heard that a lot of what's going on in the news and on social media is starting to divide families, starting to break marriages, starting to just really tear apart at the basic core of humanity. If you let other people, get on the radio and tell you their side of the story, or even if you do start reading, people's posts on social media, a lot of what's going on right now is really, really putting a void into people's everyday lives. And I just want to know from my viewers, my subscribers here, how are you managing this? Where are you compartmentalizing everything that's going on? Has it caused any issues in your family? Has it even, put something in your mind saying, hey, I need to pay attention to this? No matter whether if it, affects me or not, or whether if I can make any change to it or not, I got to really start paying attention to what's going on. And some of the main things that are affecting everybody daily, the price of groceries, the price of fuel, the price of repairs on, your everyday usage items. So just let me know in the comments, how are things going right now? And to top it off, what period of your life or what year span of your life that you can think of that, every year isn't perfect. There's no perfect year. But what era would you go back to and say things were okay? Things were not perfect, like I said, not great, but things were okay. You felt better about waking up and going about your day and night versus saying, what's next? What's to come? Is my family safe? Am I going to be safe? Can we provide? Let me know down in the comments. Oh yeah. Huh? Oh yeah. It ain't know what it would do. So sometimes there's just no getting around it. You just got to use your hands to pull weeds. Make sure when you do that, and I'm just saying that because I've been through what I'm about to describe, that you get the gloves that have some type of puncture proof, in the material. You don't want to go out here and start grabbing in weeds and grabbing in underbrush and you wrap your hand around briars or a thorn and you don't have no type of protection. I'm telling you, I got a thorn stuck up under one of my nails one time and I vowed that as long as I can avoid it by wearing gloves, I'm going to put gloves on and I'm going to be a little bit more careful when it comes to just blindly sticking my hands in bushes or shrub work to pull weeds. So Harbor Freight offers a great protection layer glove, as you can see here that I'm using. I can't remember. I think it's a brown pair that I'm using from Harbor Freight. I can't remember the name of it, but you can go there and do your homework. But just make sure you have some type of protection when you're out here doing this. Also, you just don't know what type of plant. If you're not 100% familiar with what you're touching, you don't want to go there and have a reaction as well, because a lot of these plants out here can give you some skin irritation, and you don't know exactly, if you don't know or up to date on what you're allergic to, it can break you out in a rash or something. So just keep that in mind. Some type of hand protection, and I'll even go much as say hearing, hands, protection when you're out here doing work, because you don't want to injure anything, or you don't want to cause yourself to have any rashes or any breakouts unnecessarily that can be avoided if you just took a little bit of time of putting on some PPE. And granted, I'm gonna be honest with you, a lot of times when I go out and mow, I do not put on my dust mask like I'm supposed to, because I'm trying to be in and out and fast on these properties. And what you do if you don't, take care of your respiratory, you get a infection. You don't want no upper respiratory infection or whatever the case may be, because you just don't have some sort of protection while you're out here in the elements. So I know I'm a little all over with this point, but just take a little bit of time and protect yourself. well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up here. Again, thank you so much if you made it this far and made it through all of the topics of the video. And I want to end off by saying this. Sometimes you have to let your customers supply you with what you need. What do you mean by that? Well, you see this sack that I'm using to put these weeds and everything in, the debris? I got that from another job. I took the debris that was stuffed in them from one job. The bag didn't have much damage to it at all. The ones that did, of course, I threw them away. But the ones that I didn't see any issues with, I bagged them all up in one sack, put them in my toolbox, and I take them with me from property to property for just this reason right here. This one little sack right here filled up with all of this debris, and then I had to use another one as you see the video goes on. But let your customers sometime provide you with free supplies. You know, sometimes you go to these customers' properties and they'll leave a tarp and say, hey, you can do whatever with it. Nothing may be wrong with the tarp. That's free. So sometimes a lot of the jobs that you go to will reward you not only with the pay that you're requesting from the customer, but a lot of materials, a lot of, supplies come from a customer. I can't tell you how many things that I've used from hauling off junk I've used over and over again because there was nothing wrong with it. It was I had to leave it in the landfill to get covered up with dirt, or put it on the back of my truck and use it to make another profit off of it. So keep that in mind when you go to these customers' properties, and if you're hauling something off, or even if you're just, as I do, junk removal. A lot of people take that stuff straight to the landfill or whatever the case may be, but you can take a lot of things and double or even triple your profit. You can take hauling off the junk, that's one profit. If you got scrap metal, you can take that, that's another profit. Whatever the case may be, you just have to do your research and capitalize as much as you can as possible. But just wanted to end the video on that note. And again, I am out here wide open. The temperatures here in my area has just been bango numbers. And the grass is slowly trying to grow, but you're still battling a lot of the common weeds that you go from winter transitioning over into spring to summer. Those common weeds are there. I've already been starting to spray a lot of the grasses and the weeds that I don't want to deal with that slow me down on properties. But anyways, thank you all for tuning into this video. If you made it this far, hopefully you'll return back to my next video that hopefully you'll enjoy. For those of you who like restoration projects, the next one hopefully will be a good one. But this is Simon signing out of here from Grant's Curb Appeal Lawn Care. Catch you on the next one. Y'all be safe and blessed, and don't be afraid to get out here and get dirty. Y'all be easy. Peace.